Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also attached a link to the story we are going to be looking at today. So, today we are going to be looking at Classic X-Men number 7. It is definitely a Friday, as Friday is X-Men Day. So, great cover by Arthur Adams. I'm choosing to do the classic X-Men run because when we get into the Phoenix saga, the Dark Phoenix saga, there's a lot of stuff that happens on classic X-Men as when Chris Claremont went back and rewrote some things and added some stuff that I just thought it would be impertinent to have. So, Classic X-Men number 7 reprints X-Men number 99 from 1976. So it's essentially about 10 years previously when Classic X-Men was released. Cover here is by Dave Cockrum. So, Classic X-Men contained a frontispiece. Chris Claremont, of course, was the writer. He wrote everything, including the new pages. So, the new pages would have been pages 3, 9, and 17. And then there was a back material, which was done by John Bolton. There's also a back cover that we'll get to. So, the John Bolton is all new. And it's normally a brand new sort of short story, about 8 pages. And then the Dave Cockrum stuff here would be what was in the original issues. And then Chris Claremont also wrote all the supplemental material. So this frontispiece is, of course, by Arthur Adams, who makes it to about issue. P. Craig Russell is the inker on these on the cover in the frontispiece. Art Adams made it to about 15 issues, and then 15, 16 issues, I believe, and then ended up bowing out. So here is we pick up exactly where we left off. So I have been covering the X-Men from the beginning of Chris Claremont's run. Well, from Giant Size X-Men number 1, and then Chris Claremont's run. So, as you can see, they're no longer inside that base, and they're actually in outer space. So, we're going to do things a little different. I'm kind of just going to read along. Before I was just kind of narrating, but I just kind of miss a lot when I'm doing that. So, it kind of gives you a little bit of exposition here. So, a minute ago, they had made it. A minute ago, they were smashing their way to freedom. Banshee Sonic screamed, tearing the Sentinels apart like they'd been built of tissue paper instead of steel. If you can tell, Tom Orzechowski is not the letterer yet for the original. He will eventually come. So, a minute ago, it had been so beautiful. Stephen Lang, the mastermind behind Project Armageddon, had thought them helpless. Sorry, but Banshee, Wolverine, and Jean Grey had proven him wrong. They were busting out of his prison, and nothing between heaven and hell was going to stop them. So, but that was a minute ago. So, I like it. Things have changed. So here come the Sentinels. They're saying that our heroes have breached the primary hull of the orbital platform, and so they're going to go retrieve the X-Men. So this stuff here on this panel is happening in outer space, and then the stuff in this side is happening on Earth. So I'm going to go just kind of, I don't know, maybe I'll just read it in order anyway. So Cyclops here, he's already been told that they weren't on Earth, and asks how he can be sure. He says he's not, but that's where Cerebro comes in. In addition to being a mutant detecting scanner system, it's also a supercomputer. He is referring to Cerebro here. The Sentinel says it is imperative that rescue be effected before the mutant life functions terminate. So I like how Cockrum kind of did in this portion here, kind of like um, as if you could see all this from Earth. But I've hooked it into the National Security Agency Prime Data Bank. I never dreamed Xavier had that kind of clearance. Corbeau is talking here. Anyway, all that's left is for us to ask the right question. So then back in space here. Use atmospheres to provide mutants with a temporary environment. So they're encasing them so that they can get some air. Um, you see, Cyclops, according to your record, Sentinels are composed of special alloys, unique circuits, elemental strategic materials. NSA will have record of those. Sentinel R71 to main mission rescue operation completed. It seems silly that the robots are talking, but I understand that it's for the reader here. But you know, comic books, I sometimes gripe on some of the silliness of it, but that is what I love about comic books. It's sometimes just kind of funny when you see it and you read it out loud. You don't so much think of it when you're reading it, but when you're kind of reading it out loud, you go, well, that's kind of silly. Why was a robot speaking like that? But anyway, preliminary sensor scans of prisoner indicates line functions operational at minimum support levels, all suffering from extreme exposure. So then back on Earth. By asking specific questions, we can discover the origin of those elements. Their designation, even a negative response, will tell us something. Eventually, with patience and a lot of luck. And then back over here. In short, consider yourselves lucky to be alive, but I trust you've learned your lesson. There's no escape from here. Not now, not ever. And then back on Earth, we get the answers I expected and feared. Oh my lord, the Sentinels are staging from an orbital platform. Shield's orbital platform. So this here is new. This would not have been included in the original. So we're at the Kennedy Space Center. So this guy says, first we get this blasted emergency hurry up launch Christmas last week. Now the whole mission's probably going to be scrubbed because of lousy weather. This friggin' stinking pea soup fog. And where's Corbeau? This crew. Oh, and his crew. They're overdue at the launch facility. And so, sorry to be late, Jordan. Got held up by the fog. And so this guy's like, you and blaming near everyone else, Dr. Corbeau. You and blame? Blaming? I don't know. Everything's ready inside. So, he's carrying the X-Men. This is to show us how kind of they got there. So, into pressure suits, X-Men, quick as you can. The staff mustn't see you in costumes. Storm says, I still don't understand why we must hide our identities and skulk through the shadows like criminals. Too many mutants too many people, Storm, consider mutants, especially us X-Men, precisely that. And we haven't time to explain ourselves. You can roll back the fog you summoned. Wolverine's in outer space, but this is Wolverine here, so a little error that I don't think anybody noticed. So again, you can roll back the fog you summoned to cover our arrival. She casts her thoughts to the winds, and they respond by sweeping the earthbound clouds out to sea. So, now we're back to the original here. So, it's supposed to be like a Walter Cronkite character here. Good evening. Here now the news. A midnight launch is imminent at Cape Canaveral, where the StarCorps project shuttle, piloted by Project Director Dr. Peter Corbeau, is set to lift off as scheduled, despite unusually heavy and hazardous solar activity. And then Geraldo. This must be Geraldo Rivera, even back then. So, well, Roger, a widespread epidemic of anti mutant hysteria has swept the country following the Christmas Eve reappearance of the notorious mutant hunting sentinels. So, over the weekend, the Long Island home of federal judge Robert Chalmers, noted jurist and outspoken foe of the anti mutant movement, was firebombed. Fortunately, no one was home. However, in light of recent. And then, sorry to interrupt, Geraldo, but we have an update on the StarCorps shuttle launch. As you can see, the team of 4 men and a woman is now boarding the launch vehicle. They're to there to augment StarCorps' international crew. International, interracial, intersexual. Something for everyone. This launch was scheduled with unusual speed by StarCorps, presumably to beat out the increasingly deadly solar radiation storms. Unfortunately, that speed has left us with no further information on the flight crew. In any event, we'll be covering their launch in details after the newscast. Melba? So, that previous page was kind of done to kind of explain more of how the X-Men got into this shuttle here. So, Storm is relieved to get the helmet off because she suffers from claustrophobia, which Claremont will ultimately expand on here. Nightcrawler here, Dr. Kerbu, won't your real crew be upset that we have taken their place? He says that they are the real crew. This was all for show, a very elaborate and expensive deception. So, Nightcrawler then says, which will get you into a great deal of trouble when it's discovered you are a good friend. Don't you think her, Doctor? Peter, why don't you remove your helmet? Peter. Speaking of Colossus. So, T minus 10 minutes and counting. And so they begin the preparations. And he's like, Peter, are you? And then he transforms into Colossus. He's like, God's below. And he says, Mikhail. He says, what is it, my friend? What's the matter? And he says, nothing, Kurt. I didn't mean to. I was afraid, Kurt, afraid. I sit here inside a rocket, and all I can think of is my brother Mikhail, a test pilot, one of Russia's first cosmonauts. Mikhail dying, my friend, burning to death. This was later expanded after Claremont left, in which his brother turns out is alive, but it's not revealed for like 20 years later. So this might be the longest plot thread ever, and Claremont didn't even do it. Somebody else did. So Colossus continues. We were close, Mikhail and I. We were all we had. And ever since that day, Corboot says, I understand, Colossus. I remember the Apollo first fire, the friends I lost that day. And so, T minus 1 minute, all systems go. So, love the sideburns here. 5 seconds, and here I go again, away from Mother Earth and into the deadliest environment known to man. So what I feel like I'm going home. And Cyclops, we've come so far, Jean and I, come through so much. Oh Lord, I can't lose her now. Storm, and as it's counting down, sorry, 5, 4, 3. Be calm, child of the wind. Above all else, be calm. Your friends need you. The power Colossus, here it means nothing. I'm helpless. I wonder if this is how Mikhail felt before. And then 1, Nightcrawler here. Poor Colossus. He looks terrified. Can't he see how magnificent this adventure is? Oh, if my comrades in sorry, can't read French. Or, sorry, German, my bad. Could only see me now. That would show them. So the rocket takes off. So, StarCorps, this is Capcom at T plus 2 minutes. You're on track. On SCED, all telemetry reading normal. In other words, a beautiful flight. I thought I said that, Corbo. So, this looks like Star Trek uniforms here. Beautiful for the moment, perhaps, but let's shift our attention to another solar orbit, to the vast UN-sponsored research station known as Starcore 1, and we'll hear a slightly different tale. Hillary, that sun flare, my instruments are going off their scales. Then recalibrate, Colonel, and fast. Uh, the way the sun's acting up, we're working with no margin for error. Come on, Dimitri. What's holding up those solar forecasts? They're just coming through now, and they are very bad, worse than we anticipated. So, um, here comes the shuttle, and it's detaching. So, Nightcrawler talks to Colossus, says, "Peter, we are in space and we're still alive. Are you disappointed, my friend?" And he's like, "Please, Kurt, no jokes. I'm in no mood. I feel strange. I almost wish I was dead." So you can see he's looks like he's ready to throw up. Um, Corbeau says, "A mild form of space sickness, Colossus. Your body is reacting and adapting to zero gravity. Nothing to worry about. Meantime, pipe down, the lot of you. I've got to get a priority mess. Sorry, I've got a priority message coming through from Starcore." So, so now we're shifting, and you can see here it's raining. So we're, it says here, um, about an half hour away from the Dublin, um, and this guy's going into the post office. It says here, a nice place to live or die. So when he opens the door, this guy's, "Will ye be shutting the door, you flaming idiot?" "There's a winter gale blowing, or haven't ye noticed?" He apologizes. "My name is Flaherty. I'm a solicitor. This letter is for a client of mine in America. It's imperative it get to him without delay." So, um, it's for Sean Cassidy, who's the Banshee. So, without delay, you understand? And this guy, you can see him. "I'll be knowing how to do me own job. Thank you very much. I've been doing it for 40 years. Now, for the last time, close that flaming door." So, all right. So he says, "Well, my job's done. I'm glad I am, or and glad I am. It is." So this person here we can see in the shadow, "A long way from County Mayo, aren't you, Mr. Flaherty?" He says, "You." Now, we can recognize him, but I won't spoil it if you haven't read this 50-year-old comic book, but it's it will be revealed at another time, sort of what's happening. But if you've read X-Men for a long time, you should be able to recognize this. So, so he says, "You're too late. Your cousin's been warned, and he'll stop your mad plans." And he fires at the poor guy. "Poor foolish lawyer Flaherty. My cousin could sooner stop the morning sun from rising. Aye, cousin Sean, you'll stop Black Tom, won't ye? Or at least you'll die trying." So he gave you the name there. And so now we have another new panel here. Manhattan, a most notorious address on the borough's most fashionable streets. It is home to the Hellfire Club, whose members number among the richest, most powerful people on earth, a special few of whom comprise the Council of the Chosen. So, um, so Stephen Lang is talking here. "There are a few mutants more powerful than the X-Men, and their outcast status makes them ideal subjects for our experiments. Few are likely to care about their disappearance, and fewer still will come to their aid. Our aim is to isolate their genetic X factor that differentiates mutants from baseline humans, and ultimately reproduce it at will, creating whatever powers we require in anyone we choose." So, he says, "You have but 3 prisoners, Lang. Suppose their teammates attempt a rescue. Um, they have to find them first, Shaw, which is doubtful," says one. So, we can see here that it's Sebastian Shaw, the Black Queen, and I don't know who this is. Um, should they succeed, Lang is more than capable of dealing with them. Ned. Okay. I'm not so certain, Ned. The man is too cocky. There's something about him I don't trust. You're privileged, but you, Sebastian, are a probationary member of council and club. I'm a chairman of both. Lang has performed superlative. I've no more reason to doubt his competence than your loyalty. And so he says, poor old Top, if you only knew the truth. Lang's true purpose is the elimination of that mongrel subspecies to which you, Sebastian, belong, beginning with the S-Men and followed by you. Enjoy this Christmas season, old Top. It will be your last. So, we'll be dealing with this in the classic X-Men. We won't be dealing with this in the regular X-Men. So, that was just kind of stuff. Chris Claremont's just kind of adding stuff because these issues were shorter back then. So, all right. So now we're in outer space here, and the shuttle's coming in. What's that on the vid screen? Says Stephen Lang. Corbeau says, this is Starcore Eagle 1. Solar radiation levels are moving into dangerous levels. We're requesting sanctuary. This is Stephen Lang speaking. We're a top secret U.S. government installation, Corbeau, and you have foreign personnel on board. Sanctuary denied. He says, Dr. Lang, the mutant detector is going crazy. The ship out there must be crammed with muties. And so they're sending more sentinels here. Says, heads up, troops. We've been rumbled. Bogies at 12 o'clock high and coming fast. Everyone into full pressure suits on the double. So, what about Colossus? He has no pressure suits. If we're hit, he won't stand a chance. Then we just better pray we don't get hit. So he evades the first one, but doesn't make it to the other one. They open up the hull, and some shrapnel cut through, and Storm goes out. And so he actually shouldn't be able to speak, but that's okay. Oh, that's right. They're inside the suit, but Peter's suffocating here. So, Corbeau, Colossus is suffocating. We've no time for subtlety, man. Get us inside that station, and get us inside now. So, they crash through. Okay, Cyclops, but just bear one thing in mind. We smash this baby up, and we don't go home. Got that? So here goes nothing. Alert, alert. Target vehicle making an unauthorized entry into the Armageddon command base. These units unable to prevent mutant incursion into main security zone. So the ship goes through, and now it's going after Storm. And so Storm says, like, Sentinel coming straight for me, and I am stuck here as helpless as an antelope in a lion's snare. Unless I am mistress of the wind and storm, if I can generate lightning bolts even in this vacuum. So the Sentinel's shooting at her, or blasting at her. A slim hope. First, I must use my backpack maneuvering thruster to evade the Sentinel's attack. And so she actually ends up using a little bit of her power here. So she's very strong and shoots at the Sentinel. And you can see he goes away, or she shoos him away. So his screams, the fear in it, the Sentinel almost sounded human. That is correct. I don't. I'm like, okay. Again, it's comic books. In this, is this how you honor your parents' memory, or Ororo? By breaking the oath you swore so long ago that you would never take another's life, and yet sooner or later your duty as an X-Men will require to do just that. Perhaps then it would be better if you cease being an X-Men. Again, it's a robot, so... Alright, so inside the Sentinels and the X-Men are fighting. So he uses gas on Cyclops here. Main God, Colossus is fighting like a man berserk. like a man fighting for the woman he loves. But pay attention to the job at hand, Nightcrawler. The Sentinel has captured Cyclops, and again, he's gassing him with anesthetic gas. So, prisoner for this instant, Sentinel, but you have Nightcrawler's pledge that you will not hold Cyclops for long, and he destroys the head of the Sentinel. These Sentinels are not very sturdy. So, Cyclops says, "Thanks for the assist, Nightcrawler. I couldn't have held my breath much longer, but you're not in a circus anymore, Mister. That kind of flamboyance can cost us if you're not careful. I have been a showman all my life. Watch out for this other Tin Frankenstein, my friend. It is in my blood, and I'm not about to change for anyone but you. I'm not about to change for anyone, you or anyone." So, Colossus tells Nightcrawler to move, that to move quickly. That move worked in the danger room. So, Nightcrawler says, "Excellent. If our fearless leader thought my last move was flamboyant, wait till he sees this one." And he jumps another circus and hits the Sentinel in the head, breaking it. Again, they're not very sturdy. I wonder how much they cost. All right, so they dispatched the last one. And Cyclops says it was a bit too easy. He says, "You call this easy? Compared to the Trash Sentinels, this model's a walking joke." Which beggars the question, what's the real threat in all of this? I have a feeling that the sooner we find Jean and the others, the sooner we'll know. And Cyclops says, "Jean Grey and the others, what about Storm? She's adrift out there. She could be hurt." And Cyclops says, "Back off, Colossus. I know how you feel." He says, "You know nothing. She is our friend, our comrade in battle. She could be dead, and you act as if you do not even care. Well, Colossus cares." And off panel, "You do me great honor, my friend, and I am grateful." And Storm's alive, and Colossus picks her up. He's so happy. Um, I've been, it says here, "I've always been very difficult to kill, young one, but I must admit I find the Sentinels easier to survive than your bear hugs. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm just glad. We're all glad to see you." And so suddenly, Jean Grey, using her telepathy, she calls Cyclops, says, "Scott," and he's like, "Images inside my head. I can't, Jean, help us. Scott, time is running out for the professor and me. Can barely hold contact. Banshee and Wolverine are on B deck detention cells. Professor X are in the main mission. But hurry, Scott. Stephen Lang is coming. He means to murder us." So, alright, so Cyclops barks out some orders, says, "Colossus, Storm, Nightcrawler, follow the route signs to the B deck. You'll find Wolverine and Banshee there. Break them free and then join me in the main mission. Move it, people. We've no time to waste." "But Cyclops, that will leave you on your own. Suppose there are more Sentinels." Cyclops kind of barks back. "Then I'll handle them, Storm. Right now, I've given you an order. Obey it. As for Stephen Lang, so-called head honcho of this ball of wax, he's mine, X-Men. Mine alone." You can see he's very angry here. So this is the original panel from the page. And Cyclops is running here. So I'll say this for the last time, people. Get out of here. You come with me, Dr. Corbeau. Can't have you running into a stray Sentinel in the dark. Corbeau says, "Oh, yes, of course. Look, Cyclops, don't you think you were a little rough on them? But I guess you've got more important things in your mind." So then these panels are all new. Cyclops doesn't have time to answer, it says here. This guy here says, "Shrimp's giving us the eye. If looks could kill, gents, but neither of those muties." So this is Banshee and Wolverine here. "It's gonna trouble us much longer. Their fancy powers can't save them now. Jake, maybe you shouldn't make fun. You ain't got the stomach for this, Billy. Take a hike. Suddenly, a Nightcrawler shows up. Brave men facing bound captives. Let's see how well you fare against free X-Men. As he punches them, here comes Storm. A hurricane gust of wind should take the fight out of these two. Leave Blumpo for me, darling. You got a gun, bub? Go for it. Take your best shot as he gets Wolverine out. And then this panel is new, but then we go to the other ones. Wolverine pops his claws. Then it's my turn. A moment later, the Techno's body drops in a dead faint. So, the original panel went from here to here, but Claremont very was able to break this down nicely. So, sorry about that. I thought I had to cough. So, all right. This part should have actually been. This part here deals with the previous part, but it doesn't look like they edited this part out. So, all right. I see the trash notes I used to reconstruct the Sentinels were incomplete. These Sentinels are second rate. Not that it matters. I have all the data I need from you mutants, which makes you expendable. Suddenly, this door is busted open. Your friends may have taken this station, Miss Gray, but I'm afraid I won't leave you alive to share their victory. My God. And so Cyclops hits him with his eye blast. She'll be a lot more alive than you, scum. Free Jean and the Professor, Corbeau. I'll deal with Mr. Lang personally. He throws him. How does it feel, you animal, facing someone one-on-one, someone who can fight back? Answer me, Lang. Answer me. And he's punching him. Cyclops, for pity's sake, stop. You're killing him. And Cyclops still yelling, answer me. So, suddenly, Scott, behind you, there's someone in the next room. What is it, Jean? Another Sentinel? And he's hit. Not quite. And so there's someone here. Oh no, it can't be you. Please don't let it be you. But it is, Miss Gray, the ultimate irony. The ultimate undefeatable enemy. This is the heart of Project Armageddon, my dear. Not those rather pathetic Sentinels, though I admit I had hopes for them. Resistance, as they say, is futile. Your mental powers are being neutralized by a mind not unlike your own. And so the X-Men are running here. Take her away, my pets. Prepare her. Which, of course, means that you won't be able to warn your fellow X-Men until it's too late. Because our final act is about to begin. And Colossus here. Banshee, all of you, look. I'm looking, but I'm far piece from believing. This is no joke. It must be a joke or a nightmare. If it is, fella, then the joke's on us. And it's kind of joke the X-Men can do without, just like we can do without these imposters. Imposters? No, not so, Cyclops. We are the X-Men. Like heck you are, lady. So they have the original X-Men here. Agreed, Iceman. And these imposters are the deadliest foes you have ever fought. So attack my X-Men. Show them the same mercy they would show you. Attack these imposters and kill them. Kill them all. So this sets us up for X-Men 100, which will be the next X-Men we'll cover. Our catalysmic 100th issue, A Tale of Triumph and Tragedy, X-Men versus X-Men till the death. But again, this is classic X-Men, so we have another tale. So our backup tale is called Out with the Old, and you can see Tom Orzechowski's beautiful lettering. Tom Orzechowski is one of my two favorite letterers, John Workman being the other ones. I can't pick a favorite. I love them both. They're both so different. They're so exquisite lettering. So, regardless. So here comes our backup tale. So, Christmas is past. The old year nearly done. And in celebration, New York's infamous Hellfire Club presents its annual gala. There is no more exclusive establishment in the world, and yet no more eg- egalitarian. Anyone can belong, provided he or she is wealthy beyond almost all measures. Within these walls, these most powerful of people are free from constant cloying constraints of society and custom, in an atmosphere that harkens to an earlier, rougher age. There are few rules and fewer limitations. All things are possible, and virtually nothing is forbidden. So, we have here, um, of course, we know Sebastian Shaw here. So, um, so this woman here, her name is Lourdes, and she tells Sebastian, "You are a fool to trust the White King." And Sebastian looks on. "Edward Buckman is the club's president, my lady, my patron and my friend." And she says, "False friend, a lying patron. He is human. We are mutants. Can you not see how much he hates us?" So Sebastian kind of cuts her off. "Peace, Lourdes. We'll discuss this later." And so, "Have you met my White Queen, Sebastian? Paris Seville." Um, and Sebastian says, "Your servant, ma'am. May I in turn present Lourdes Chantel." So this is, by the way, the gentleman that was in previous that was plotting his death. So this is why I said this just happens for this. This doesn't continue in the main X-Men. So charmed, Buckingham says, "You'll make a fitting Black King, old top. You really do look the part." "Kind words, Edward, but no amount of finery or education will smooth my rough edges. You were born into wealth. I forged mine from nothing." And so, "The American dream, old top. Horatio Alger would be proud. By the way, the latest reports from Stephen Lang are everything we hoped and more. Project Armageddon looks to be a complete success. It wouldn't have been possible without you, Sebastian. Rest assured, the Council of the Chosen will not let such stalwart service go unrewarded. Now, if you'll excuse me, I promised my queen this waltz." So, I love, love, love John Bolton's pencils. So elegant. He fits so well with these backup stories. So, all right. So the two of them look on. So Lourdes says, "The charm of a stalking cobra with fangs to match. The X-Men always defended. The X-Men have always defended mutant kind. Yet Buckman wishes them dead." So Sebastian says, "Rubbish. Our aim is to isolate this genetic X factor that creates enhanced power beings like ourselves so we can properly exploit it in the marketplace. The X-Men are simply the most suitable guinea pigs." "Hold fast to your fantasy, querido," she says. "Enough. Tessa, Edward Bucking Edward Buckman's behavior, observation and analysis, please." So Tessa is a character that will evolve much later. Much later. But for now, she's like an analyst. So she says the White King's solicitude may indicate a genuine regard, Shaw. Alternately, it is a classic military strategy to disarm one foe by pretending friendship prior to an attack. So he says, "That isn't helpful, woman. And so it is the best I can do without additional data." So Sebastian is going out. "You are both determined to drive me mad. Much of what I am I owed to Ned. And yet, Emma, can you hear my thought?" He's talking about the White Queen. Always, Sebastian, even from the farthest reaches of the world. Hades, are all my women determined to draw their pint of blood tonight? And so he thinks Lourdes is worried. 100 miles eastward beyond East Hampton. That is her nature, but in this instance she may have a good reason. How is our guest, Emma? So she says, Colonel Rosie is alive. With proper care, he will recover. I have telepathically scanned his memories. His aircraft was attacked by sentinels while en route to Washington after Rosie's meeting with Stephen Lang. Project Armageddon was originally proposed as a means of enhancing the Hellfire Club's wealth and power. The rationale being that whosoever controls mutant kinds will also control the world. But Rosie discovered the true purpose: to bring about the total eradication of Homo sapiens superior, and the men responsible are Stephen Lang and Edward Buckman. And so, the Black King is angry. Ned, you lied to me. I trusted you. I believed in you. I let my need for respect and acceptance cloud my instinct for survival. How you must have laughed. So the reason I'm covering classic X-Men is these backup stories and the extra stuff that Chris Claremont puts in here. So I just thought that it would, when we get to the Dark Phoenix saga, I think it will make more sense as we go through classic X-Men versus regular X-Men. So contact established with mutant target Codifaxed Emma Frost. Files indicate scanning confirms target's mutant abilities are psionic in nature. Minimal threat to this unit. And suddenly she screams, a sentinel. Initiating termination program. And she screams at Shaw. And so here comes the Black King. One of Lang's robots is attacking my beach house. Emma and Harry Leland haven't a prayer against it on their own. Lourdes, teleport us there at once. So, she's, Lourdes says, Sebastian, I've never carried so many people such a distance. I don't know if I can. And he grabs her by the neck. He says, I won't be refused, woman. Do as you're told. And so, in the blink of an eye, they travel from Manhattan to their destination. So, you can see Lourdes is collapsing. Shaw, thank heaven. Emma's in the next room. I don't know what happened to her. Tessa, tend to Lourdes. I'll deal with this metal monster. An admirable ambition, dear boy. Better you than me, says Leland. So, his power will be clear at a much as we go through this and all that stuff. So, a brilliant lawyer may be Harry, but considerably less than a man. And so, the Sentinels throwing nerve gas at them. Well, to flatten the remaining walls so the wind can blow the gas away before it can do us any harm. A good punch. The harder I strike anything, the stronger I get. He basically is able to use kinetic energy to enhance his power. As I mentioned in the beginning, I've included a link to the Marvel database for this issue. Click on any of the character names in there and it'll give you their powers, their history, everything you ever need to know. So, a few more like it and I'll be unbeat up. What? And so, he's grabbed here. Shaw and Tessa says, Lourdes, stay back. You're still too weak. I don't care, Tessa. I won't let him be harmed. So Tessa grabs him and teleports him. You can see the thing here kind of dissipates. And she reappears there. But the Sentinel throws in this arrow-looking thing and goes through her. And Harry's like, Lourdes, child, no. Feel my power, murderer. I'm the murderer. If only I've acted sooner with a little courage, he says, and he uses his um he can basically here he tells you here he controls mass by concentration alone. I can increase yours to the point where you'll sink like stone to the core of the earth. So down goes the sentinel. Now, robot, you're where I can reach you. And Sean punches it. And she's like, Harry, sentinel, resisting so much strain, my heart pounding so hard. Hurts. I won't give up. I'm all right, Emma. Glad to see you are too. Well constructed, robot. He hits him again. Omnium steel frame. Chobham armor. Shock repressors. Fast acting damage control and system repairs. But as good as you are, you're only a machine. As Shaw keeps punching it. And this man will always prove to be your better. I only wish the victory were worth the price. Forgive me, Lourdes, for bringing you to this. Forgive you, Sebastian, anything, always, she says. Tessa's like how much she loves him, how little he realized. Isn't there anything we can do? And Emma says, my psi powers are neutralizing her neural receptors, so she's in no pain beyond that. And so Lourdes says, I wish I could see the sun again, stroll las Ramblas, at home in Barcelona, pray a last time in the Sagrada Familia. Oh, Sebastian, why does Buckman hate us? And they kiss before she dies. Fear of what we are and what we represent. Now give him cause. So before I go to the next page, I want to explain to you where the X-Men were at this time. So Chris Claremont had just wrapped up the Mutant Massacre saga, and the X-Men he did a couple of stories between Storm, kind of some solo Storm stories, and then the X-Men without Wolverine, without Storm, Longshot had joined the team, and so forth. I think Chris Claremont was at the after John Byrne had left, the X-Men were searching for themselves. Dave Cockrum had come back, but I have to tell you people, Dave Cockrum, as good as he is, was, rest in peace, Dave Cockrum. John Byrne was better. So to go from Byrne back to Cockrum, it seemed like a step back. Now, the X-Men did eventually find their footing and got better again. But Claremont, he really, really cemented himself during the mid-'80s with the Mutant Massacre saga. And it kind of served him well for a few more years. Then, of course, the downhill started again, but then picked up when Jim Lee took over. And then, sadly, he ended up leaving the X-Men after that. But this story is quite good, I think. And it really showed, I think, Claremont's best writing, or some of his best writing. It's really hard because he's written a lot of good stuff, but this short story here is extremely well done. So, all right. So, Midnight, the Council of the Chosen, minus, of course, Sebastian Shaw, gathers for a special meeting. Welcome all. I've the very best of news. Even as I speak, the mutant present among us and the threat it represents to humanity as much as the Hellfire Club. Sir, Mr. Buckman, what is being dealt with? He fires at the soldier, and permanently as he fires at everybody here, killing them all. Ned, for pity's sake, and then he shoots his wife, and he's like, wait, this is insane. What have I done? What am I doing? What comes naturally, old top, slaughtering those who trust you the most. And he goes, he recognizes Shaw. You should be dead. Right idea. Wrong man. I disconnected the telepathic inhibitors around the chamber. My lady Emma holds power now, holds you completely in thrall. You are her puppet, her slightest whim at your absolute command. And your every thought hers for the taking. May I? You won't need it anymore as he grabs the weapon. I wasn't your enemy, Ned, until you made me one. Shaw, please. The only thing a man truly possesses is his word. You gave me yours. I thought that meant something, and he snaps his neck and destroys the gun. The king is dead, and his council with him. Lourdes was worth more than the lot of them, and more. And in their place, and her memory, shall rise the Lord's Cardinal. No longer will mutants be victims, but rulers. First the Hellfire Club, and then the world. So, and next, of course, the Phoenix. So, and then the last thing is the back cover by John Bolton. So, Classic X-Men number 7 from 1986. I hope you liked it. I hope it's really nice to see these old stories kind of redone, remastered, if you would. I love Claremont going back and filling in gaps and creating new stories. So it was truly a special time when this came out. So anyway, as always, like and subscribe, and I do thank you for listening. Goodbye.